All right. The countdown is over. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. For those of you who can count, I'm sure it's all of you. Thank you very much joining us for the Ravery Sports Podcast. Thank you. Like and subscribe to all of our social media content. Definitely pushed it back a little bit. Checked out the Maryland game to go over that with you guys tonight. Excellent game. This Terp team, guys, if you're missing out, was fantastic tonight at the end. Starting five is tremendous on that. So let's do the business first. Genesis Notary Services at /Facebook.com. You can book an appointment right on the website. So definitely keep that in mind. Genesis Notary Services /Facebook.com, where you can book the appointment right on Facebook there. So anytime if you're in the Shenandoah Valley and you need notary assistance, definitely be happy to get field inspection, real estate, wedding officiant, anything like that. We'd be happy to go ahead and get there for you. There's a live stream on the Facebook page, on our LinkedIn page for Genesis Notary Services. If you want to go ahead and check that out, that kind of covers some of the things that we had. See, Charles Harris, we are LegalShield.com. So definitely that is our website for that. Definitely you can reach out to me, Harris Legal Shield on Facebook. Definitely check that out whenever you get a chance. So definitely it's an outstanding resource. If you have any legal matters, you need money or anything like that, Harris Legal Shield is a tremendous resource for you. So absolutely go ahead and check that out as well. RaverySports.company.site. Definitely check out that. So if you want to go ahead, get some Oriole hats. Baseball season is coming up. Good time to get Ravens jerseys, for me at least, to buy them this time of year and to get them on the website and everything like that. App is coming out sooner rather than later. We're going to have a release date for that pretty soon. Definitely check that out. Couple channel notes. Channel has been changing a little bit. Obviously, you've been seeing our Drive to the Top discussions on the channel, so definitely check that out. So the good roundtable discussions about all types of things, sports as well. We're going to have our interview series about sports media. We're going to have sports media figures on here. If you've already looked at it, Keith Henry is going to be our first interview. He is the guy that has been writing for the Afro-American for I don't know how many years, so many years as a sports writer, good friend of mine as well. And the next interview hasn't been announced, but I can guarantee you, all of you know who it is if you're Raven fans as well. So he's agreed to come on and talk with us as well. Right around the Super Bowl, you're going to be seeing that. You're going to be seeing more of that, me interviewing people and talking about sports media, talking about the Ravens, talking about those things, getting to know the people. This is for the fans and getting to know the fans. All right, let's get there. Ravens 2025 free agency preview. Now we can get to the good stuff, you football nerds, the off-season content as well. So we definitely talked about the Senior Bowl here today. We talked about, watched a little bit of the Senior Bowl practice today. I just watched them. So now we're getting into some NFL off-season stuff as well. So we're definitely going to go ahead and check that out as well. The first part what we're going to do is this is just the Ravens who are free agents on the team. So who has a contract, who doesn't have a contract, etc. Last two off seasons have been very crucial in the sense of a lot was going on. Last season, you had a lot of free agents. You had like 20 some odd unrestricted free agents. I forget the number off the top of my head. It was like 24, 25 unrestricted free agents. The year before that, obviously, you had the fearless leader, Lamar Jackson, as a free agent. This year, a little less drama. You're finding pieces, you're keeping pieces. Most of your core of your team is under contract. So that's good. So when you're going into our free agency and free agency in general, you're going into things that are not just our not shifting off the planet here, right? Okay, so just some things for shoring up some things here. Okay, so let's take a look. Exclusive rights free agent Owen Wright. So what does that mean? So almost self-explanatory, right? Exclusive rights. Owen Wright is going to be a Baltimore Ravens if the Ravens want to sign him. All that means is he doesn't have a contract with another team, but the Ravens retain his rights. If the Ravens want to retain his rights, they can. They don't, then he can sign with another team. Otherwise, he has to sign with the Ravens. He can't go on another team. So Owen Wright looked good in preseason last year. I don't know if there's a spot for him on the team, but definitely they're certainly going to bring him in camp. Certainly if there's an injury to the very good running back room they have. Darius. Interesting to see if Darius Washington, who was a guy who's been a backup guy, a guy who John Harbaugh really liked. Obviously, he's a guy. It'll be interesting to see if they're talking extension with Darius. I don't know. I think they really want to bring in a safety in the draft. But I think it'd be fascinating to see if they can go ahead and pull off a Darius Washington extension. Good as he was last year, he's got some issues. First of all, Darius never misses a tackle. Darius is going to go ahead and make tackles regardless of where the situation is. He's going to tackle. He's going to bring somebody down. The other thing with Darius is a little bit small. Had some injuries before. Is this a guy you want to commit to long term, even though he won the starting job and was very good? I thought that was the biggest addition last season. So restricted free agent though. So what that is Ravens have basically right of first refusal. Another team can sign him. They have to run it by the Ravens. Agent, everybody has to run it by the Ravens. You don't see a lot of restricted free agents sign with other teams. So I think Darius is going to be a Raven in 2025 rather. But it'd be interesting to see because he played well if anybody else tries to sneak in there as well. Now, unrestricted free agents. So none of these guys have a contract in for the next season, right? These are guys that are totally free once they're able to sign in the period of once the new league year starts, I think in early March. So these guys will be unrestricted free agents. They can sign with any team. Chris Board. Chris Board, I thought, was a bigger addition for better or worse than what they expected. Here's a guy they expected maybe he play a little bit special teams, et cetera, et cetera. He played a lot more than that. Look, bench Trenton Simpson as well. Malik Harrison, Chris Board were needed. They stepped up as well. I don't think there's going to be any pressing need to sign a Chris Board. I think what they're going to do is just going to let it play out. He'll be their second wave of free agencies, like a lot of these guys here on the list. Josh Jones didn't play as much as I thought he would. I think like it really wasn't an issue in camp. I mean, he was able to hold his roster spot, played sparingly. I'm not even sure how the Ravens feel about him if they would consider bringing him back. If they would consider it, I would think I kind of put him in the same category with Chris Board. See how the draft plays out. See if they need him. It's not going to be inexpensive. Shouldn't be a lot of teams after him. I'm more thinking with him he'd sign with a different team, but I'm not sure quite yet. But it'd be interesting in the second wave. Travion Mullen. This guy's continuing to fight injury issues. I mean, we don't know really what you have with him on the field at all. So, seems decent enough corner, NFL corner on the field when he's actually playing on the field. But a lot of injury issues. Seems like a lot of these secondary guys have had it as well. Steven Sims. They brought him in mid-season. The punt returner, this tells you his chances of coming back. John Harbaugh in the end of the year press along with EDC was saying, hey, we need some help at punt return. That tells you what they think. Tried a couple guys here. Devontae Hardy, same. Brought him in from Buffalo, gave him a spot. Really was injured a lot of the year at the beginning of the year, injured through camp. Then he played, didn't really make an impact as well. These are two guys I'd be surprised if they come back. If they came back, you never know. Christian Welch, I think this is a special teams player. I think the question was with the Ravens all year, I think this was probably the worst we ever saw their special teams. Special teams not good at all this year for the Ravens. And that's very, very unusual. Usually they're at the top 10 near special teams for many years. John Harbaugh was a special teams coordinator, understands the whole defense, and I thought they were awful. So interesting to see. But Christian Welch, kind of a midseason signing as well. Deontay Johnson. I don't know why you guys think that they're for sure going to get a comp pick out of this. I mean, Deontay Johnson has lost so much money. He got released. He got moved by 3 different teams, guys. Like the Steelers got rid of him in the last season. I'm not even counting the Steelers. They got rid of him in the last season, traded him. He goes to Carolina. Not exactly a really good team. They trade him away to the Ravens for virtually nothing. The Ravens they release him due to bad conduct. The Texans go sign him, need receivers. They release him due to bad conduct. So the Ravens are trying to get some compensation. Guys, I don't know who's going to give him a lot of compensation. I don't know who that is. One place I actually could see is actually Pittsburgh giving him some kind of contract again. But I think they've wasted more time on this than I think they needed to here. So as well. Tre'Davious White, interesting. I thought he should have played more. I thought, like, considering the struggles of Brandon Stevens, they kind of started to play him a little bit more, and then they kind of used more Brandon Stevens down the stretch after he came in. So I don't think Tre'Davious comes back. I think it'll be depending on the they're going to have Marlon. They're going to have Marlon Humphrey back for sure. They're going to have Nate Wiggins. You're going to have Arthur Millette under contract as well. So Tre'Davious, can he be a third, fourth? Interesting to see how that goes. I think Nelson Aguilar has probably played his last game as a Raven. I don't know if Nelson is going to come in next year. I think his role would be he was able to hold on, I think, more than they thought. I think that says more about Devontae Walker. I don't think he's going to survive another EDC draft. We'll know early. The last 2 years, he signed pretty early, signed team-friendly deals. So he may want to do that again if he wants to do that, if they want to have a spot for him, etc. So it'll be interesting to see if that go ahead and plays out. Brent Urban, John Harbaugh guy, booking for next season. Brent Urban will definitely be on the Ravens next season unless he retires. Team friendly, they may release him at the camp. He's going to be their 5th defensive lineman. And I don't see any way we don't have Brent Urban unless he retires, from the game. He is 34. He's going to be 34 next season as well. Malik Harrison, has he earned the starting job going back into next season? He basically won it back from – here's a guy who was benched a long time ago as a starter, so much so where they brought in Roquan Smith. They had Trent Simpson. Patrick Queen is gone. And so interesting to see how they feel about Malik Harrison, see if he stays here as well. I think there's a chance he might stay. He's also very valuable on special teams. Josh Johnson, got to upgrade from this guy. Josh Johnson, I'm fine with keeping him in the Ravens as a coach or something. They really got lucky. There was no entry to Lamar, and they didn't have to play Josh Johnson for significant minutes. I would like to see them draft a quarterback here this offseason. You don't want to do it in the first, second round, obviously, but draft a quarterback later, draft a quarterback in the late rounds. You gotta do better than Josh Johnson. Josh Johnson, I think they were lucky that there was really no Lamar injury and there was no need, but I don't think you want to go into that next year. And Tylan Wallace, I don't see it either. I don't think that Tylan Wallace is going to be back with the Ravens. He's had some flashes as well. I definitely think so. I definitely think Tylan Wallace has looked good at times. I think the problem is it's not enough of those times. I was for sure they were going to give him a run for his money at punt returner. Kind of struggled, had some drops and all that, et cetera. In the punt return game, at receiving game, looked good at times, made some good catches. Not consistent enough, I'm concerned, that for them to bring it back. Also to Devontae Walker on the roster, maybe looking for a bigger role for him. I think that's kind of the case with both him and Aguilar. Interesting to see how that goes. These guys are in the top 5 of the free agent class. Ben Cleveland, man. I don't know why. This is the one thing is as much as the offense got praised and the offense did well, I have no clue why Ben Cleveland was sitting the bench the whole year. That was insane. Look, you could call Falele whatever you want. I think Falele struggled all year long. He got better. I think, frankly, what they did with Falele was they just gave him more help. They gave him Patrick Pat on that side, ran more on the other side. They disguised it more. He did get incrementally better. Rosengard certainly got better. I think that helped as well. So, but Ben Cleveland, there's a 0% chance he wants anything to do with him. Harbaugh definitely doesn't want him back, in my opinion. For whatever reason, he doesn't like Ben Cleveland as a right guard. So definitely signing on another team. This would be the biggest shock of all. Like if Ben Cleveland was to come back, the biggest shock. Project Pat Ricard. I think Project Pat is an interesting one here. I think he's asked if he said he wants to retire a Raven. I think that's very possible that he retires a Raven. I will say this. The slam dunk nature of him, no other team having interest in him, I don't know about that. I think there's going to be a bit of a running back renaissance looking at what Barkley did, Saquon Barkley did, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Ashton Jeanty coming out in the draft, almost winning. So I do think teams are going to focus a little more on the run and may need a fullback. So teams like San Fran, they have a former Raven, funny enough, everybody forget, Kyle Juszczyk. They have the Chargers seem to be signing up a lot of Ravens players. In the West, teams more. I think it's some chance that somebody else gets it, but I'm pretty sure we're gonna have Pat Ricard. I would say 75-25 he comes back. I don't think it's that, but I don't think it's 90%. I think like it's a little bit overstated to say that. Pat McCary. This is the one of the list of the finalists here. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not sure because of what McCary's market is. I don't know if another team. I'm thinking that another team is going to be interested in him. There's a very big dearth of good, really solid starting caliber NFL guards, NFL tackles. Guy with his versatility, capable of starting. He started all year at left guard. I thought that was the better side of the line that he started on. Kind of got beat out Andrew Voorhees for it. So I'm kind of thinking it is, but it'd be interesting to see. I think, though, if they can get a similar deal than what they had, I think there's interest there. But I don't know if they're going to be able to do that. I'm not sure what his market is, though. I don't know how the rest of the league feels about him. I think the Ravens would love to have him back, though. Absolutely. Brandon Stephens. I think Ben Cleveland would be a bigger surprise at the back than Brandon Stephens. But EDC was already pretty much talking about him in past tense. Like, he's definitely not going to be here. I think Stephens is going to be a starter for somebody. I think he's a decent corner. Go ahead and hit the thumbs down button. I think he's deep, but he's not. He doesn't locate the ball well. That's it. Every team down the stretch was firing at Brandon Stephens for sure. Some of that was the year that Marlon Humphrey was having, but I definitely think that Brandon Stephens is going to be an ex-Raven for sure is going to sign with our team. I don't know if he gets a big contract somewhere else, but I don't think the Ravens have any interest in having him as a starter going forward in 2025. And number one, Ronnie Stanley. As far as I'm concerned, this is the guy in my mind that's replaced the great Jonathan Ogden, right? This was the guy at Notre Dame. The Ravens had a subpar season, one of their rare ones. The last time they picked really high, this is who they took, Ronnie Stanley. It's been a roller coaster ride with Ronnie. I think I thought he was terrific last year. I thought his first several years it looked great. The instant he got the big contract, it was an injury. It wasn't the same last 2 years. So many fans were frustrated because he said he was going to play and he wasn't going to play. Then he was injured. Well, close to coming back. Then it was frustrating. The sad part is we got the Ronnie Stanley this year that we've been waiting for the last couple of years. I thought he was terrific. I thought without that, the Ravens would not have done as well as they did. Stanley, I thought, was fantastic. I don't see him coming back. I think some fans I know that think are surprised by that or think that I don't see it only because there's going to be way too much interest in the league. Look, not a lot of good offensive tackles in the NFL. Not a lot of good guard in the NFL. This guy's been to a Pro Bowl, very good last year. He's going to get a $20 million deal. The Ravens kind of had him take a pay cut because of all the injuries. Shown he can be healthy for a year. I'd be shocked if he came back. I think the Ravens are not going to bid this kind of money for a guy. I think they're going to go into the draft, possibly Roger Rosengarten, moving from left side to right side, save some money there. But I think Stanley, if he gets $20 million, is well deserved. It's just a shame that we couldn't get more healthy Ronnie Stanley like we saw this season, because this guy healthy is terrific. I don't think there's any question about it. There you go. All right. So that's the free agent list. All those guys will be available to NFL teams after the league year starts. I'm going to put him on there, although this is all but sure. Hasn't happened yet, but we know Marcus Williams for sure is going to be moving on. He's still on the roster. He's going to be released at some point. The Ravens, at typical Raven fans, I expect him to wait all the way up until the time to go ahead and wait. Well, we're going to get trade, blah, 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 blah. So Marcus will be gone, I'm sure. His spot is gone. I think they've already worked his deal to take less of a hit to make him to take the cap hit off a little bit better for them. So Marcus wasn't on there, but Marcus for sure, no discussion there. Is going to be an ex-Raven here pretty soon. Great news. Chuck Pagano is coming back as a senior defensive assistant as well. Good to see Chuck back with his health issues. So he retired. He had some health issues. I think that was part of why he retired. This is a guy who was head coach, one of the great defensive coordinator lineage that the Ravens have had. So Dean Pease is on the roster. Chuck Pagano is back as well. So I think it's great to see Chuck. I think this is only good that when you have a guy with this type of experience ready to go, helping your young core get better. So absolutely great news as well. All right. So let's get down. Now we got that out the way. Chuck Pagano. So let's get to the championship. That's not it. Not Big Five. I'm sorry. I knew I was going to do it. I heard the music. So Championship Sunday. We just had it, so we're going to know who's going to be in the Super Bowl coming this year. Let's start with the NFC because that was super decisive. The Eagles, 55-23. I'm sure Kevin Hart and Will Smith are ecstatic. Those two Philly guys over the Commanders. Commanders shouldn't even have been here. And I don't mean that to be too insulting. And I think they went as far as they could. Look, Jayden Daniels is terrific. I think he's probably a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Certainly the best quarterback in the NFC. Just not enough. The Eagles, I think, roster, I think, is terrific, all across the board. Quarterback is really good. I like Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is a really good quarterback. There's some, it doesn't always look traditional like the way people are expecting, but Barkley has been fantastic. The two wide receivers are outstanding. Their line is outstanding. I say this a lot with Philly. I think they're from top to bottom as well. The question I think a lot of people have is coach and quarterback. I'm not worried about either of those things. I think both of those are kind of overblown. Hurts, I don't think is elite. He's not as good as the guy he's going to be playing against, but he hung 55 here in this game. So I think their offense is really rolling. I think their young core on defense is outstanding. I like the Eagles here as well. But this game was fantastic. The Buffalo Bills and the Chiefs, I thought – Chiefs, I think, get over the fact that they don't have this greatest show on turf anymore and all these offensive weapons and all that. You got to get over that. They are as good on defense as I think as they need to be. I think the defense is very, very underrated. Chris Jones is terrific. He gets some press, but man, he really doesn't get as much as people talk about. Trent McDuffie at corner. I'm having a hard time not putting him as the best corner in the league. It's pretty close with him and Surtain, but Duffy is like he totally takes a guy out as well. I like Nick Bolton. I like the line, but I think the defenses showed up as well. Buffalo just can't get over this hump. I don't think Buffalo did anything wrong. I think they were a touch conservative in this game. More, I think that was kind of their game plan, trying to limit Josh Allen's turnovers as well. But I don't have a big problem with Buffalo as well. I think it's just that hard to beat the Chiefs. Unfortunately, for the AFC and the rest of the league, it's going to be very hard to beat Kansas City. I thought this was fantastic, though. The game itself was fantastic. I was kind of rooting for a different result, like a lot of this, but I thought it was good. I think, look, Mahomes, I think, is in the Jordan territory now. If he can win 3 in a row, this is the references I keep making with him. Doesn't matter what his circumstances are. Doesn't matter what the line. Look, he's got Joe Tooney now playing at tackle because they can't find a left tackle. That wrecks the whole season. This guy is cool and collected in the playoffs. He's looking more calm each year. I think the Chiefs and the Eagles. The Eagles have the talent to win this game. I'm having a hard time picking against the Chiefs. Hard time. Chiefs are really good. Definitely. We'll chop it up a little bit more on our Super Bowl preview show. We're going to do it at 4 o'clock, not right when the game starts as well. And we're going to do an instant reaction. I don't know if we're going to have some of the guys on with me or not that day. We'll see. But definitely we're going to go ahead and do that as well. All right. I am very excited about this. Let's talk a little Terps basketball. I have this up on the graphic, and we're going to go into this, but we're going to go into all the action this week. Terps just winning 3 games this week. I thought it was terrific as well. So they went down into Champaign and beat the brakes off the Fighting Illini. This was fantastic. This game was on Thursday at State Farm Center, FS1. Derek Queen he's been the man-child all season. He was terrific in this game. Illinois had an issue. We're going to get to that, but that was, I don't care. Like 25-6. He's been fantastic all year. I'll get to the thing I'm going to get to when I talk about the other games with him. The only concern I have. But this guy rebounds the ball well. He's just got to be a little bit more assertive at times. I think he's not assertive enough at times. But that's the only thing I could see with him. When he's on his game, got to get a little more balance a little bit, but he's getting 20. He can score 20 every night if he's one. Julian Reese. I heard somebody say that they thought Julian Reese is an All-American. Not quite. All-Conference, but he's been fantastic. His sister is Angel Reese, and he is doing the family name proud. Outstanding, 27-17. Clearly the best player on this night in this game as well. Fantastic. He's a good piece of meat and potatoes. This season, though, unlike when he was playing with Jahmir Young, he's getting it done on his own. He's got more help around him, but he's having nights that are his nights for sure. So it's where I think last year he kind of had good nights when Jahmir Young had good nights. He's having nights. This was his night in this game. Jacoby Valesky, 15 points, 8 assists. He's essentially with the closest thing they have to a point guard. Good outside shooter, good handling the ball. Him and Rodney Rice are making some fantastic, difficult shots in this one. First round pick, Kasparas Gianakis, I think I'm saying it right, for the Fighting Illini, 21, 7, and 7 across the board. Easily their best player. Not as good shooting the ball in this one, I didn't think, but he was pretty much most of the offense along with Kalen Braswell, 14 and 9 on the ends. He had to take up the rebounding slack in this one. I think now everybody's going to say for sure the reason why Reese and Derek Queen had such great nights is because Isvik didn't play. I do think that was a factor. That's just true. That's just the truth. I think Illinois doesn't have a lot of size, and their center was out, and Maryland took just complete advantage of that. I think that's why it was so decisive. Dre Gibbs, Hawthorne, picked up some of the scoring slack, 15 points. This was never in doubt. Never in doubt. So I was surprised that they didn't get a win into the top 25. So what's happened since with that? Tremendous game on Sunday in Bloomington. Terps beating Indiana in the heartland of hoops there. Indiana not top 25, but a pretty good team on the road, getting a win at the last second. Fantastic shot at the end. The game winner by Rodney Rice. I think it was Rodney Rice. So I think it was Rodney Rice at the end who actually won the game for them in the last seconds. Good stop on the defensive end. Game was fantastic, entertaining. I think the Hoosiers, with all their preseason, look, Mike Woodson is not a good coach. I could have told them that. He's from Indiana. He played at Indiana. He played in the pros, not getting it done. As usual, his teams are frenetic on defense, and it showed. Terps were able to eke it out at the end. Tonight, Wisconsin goes down to the Terps in the Gold Rush. The games, it looks like the students were back. This was a typical Wisconsin team. They're going to knock you down. Guys going out on the floor, physical. Terps, Queen wasn't good. And I think this is kind of what I'm seeing with the team this year. Miguel, Gillespie, Rice, Reese, double figures. Bad night for Queen. I think this was his baddest game I've seen him play, but he was outstanding when he needed to be at the end, and they were able to. This team should be in the NCAA tournament written all over. I think they're kind of being disrespected because this is a really, really good team in the tournament. They're going to do some damage to somebody in the tournament. So definitely check that out. So Maryland over the Fighting Illini in this one, over Indiana, and over put it back on screen. Over the Fighting Illini, over the Hoosiers, and over the Wisconsin Badgers. A little bit of a break until the 6th of February, and I think it's going to be Ohio State as well. So definitely check that out. Outstanding stuff there as far as that goes. Didn't talk about this last week, but I'm going to give it in this week. Hall of Fame has been set. 2025 Hall of Fame. Dick Allen, Dave Parker going through the Veterans Committee as well, so good for them as well. Ichiro Suzuki, nearly unanimous. I think there was one guy who didn't vote for him. I don't understand that. I don't understand that. Some people are criticizing Sabathia and Billy Wagner. They're clearly Hall of Famers to me. I don't think there's any question about it. Sabathia had 250 wins. That's Hall of Fame to me. I mean, I don't think he was about – that's about as good as you do in the modern era as far as that goes. Long career, with the Indians and the Yankees. I don't think there's any question about it. Billy Wagner, I think, is 8th all time in saves. So I think Billy Wagner a little underrated throughout his career. How good Billy Wagner really was an outstanding reliever all the way to the end of his career, even in Atlanta. So shout out to those guys. I got no problem with all. None. I think they got it right on all counts. Interesting to see. I think this year's class actually is going to be much stronger than next year's class. Markakis, Adam Jones, and believe it or not, Matt Wieters, former Orioles, on the ballot. I don't imagine any of them is going to get in, but it'll be interesting to see what happened. Beltran again came real close. Didn't happen. So interesting to see what's going to happen there as well. Top 10 third baseman in the MLB. So we're doing our series here of top 10 lists. We're going to go all the way up until opening day. The last one will be the managers as well. So we're at the end of the diamond now. Next week, we're going to do shortstops. This week, we're going to do third baseman. I wouldn't call it a renaissance at third baseman. I wouldn't go that far, but I think the quality of third baseman now better than it's been, definitely going up. You're seeing a lot of these guys, good hitters, now playing third base. You're seeing it more in the minor leagues now where guys not just at first base, but at third base. And so there are some good third basemen in the league now. Absolutely, for sure, in the MLB. So let's go over the third baseman. Alex Brom for the Phillies. There's another Phillies as well. So in that loaded Phillies lineup, here's a guy, not a stud by any stretch as far as all the stats and everything, but he'll give you a good 20-80, decent defensively, good way to fill out the Phillies, sort of good spot for him as well. I think definitely one of the better third basemen in the National League. So definitely plays well next to Trey Turner. Braun, I got no problem putting him in the All-Star game last year, I think. So good stuff there. Alex Braun, number 10. Eugenio Suarez for the D-backs. D-backs have more of these than you think. Good season for him last year. They didn't let him go a little bit up in age. I think he's going to be 33 or 34 this year. That's a little bit of a concern. Can he continue the play that he had? I think he was 20-80 last year. So Suarez, I think, was really good at the end of last year. Signing with Arizona, I think re-signing with Arizona was definitely smart as well. I think Arizona, is definitely going to be one of the better teams in the National League. Oh, one of the better teams in the National Daughters are walking by there. I'll get my office back soon here. Better teams in the National League. Diamondbacks, I think, were fantastic as well. So I think Suarez, is top 10. I think this season to be top 10. I don't know he'll be on this list every year, but this season, I got no problem putting him in the top 10. Here's a guy sliding down, Nolan Arenado. I think Arenado at one point in his career was a guy who could actually carry an entire lineup. Getting older here, I still have him in the top 10, though. I still think he's got a little bit left. I do think St. Louis is going to trade him at some point. I think that'll matter for him. When you have a guy sliding a little bit, I think the role he's doing in St. Louis isn't this much. But he's going to hit. He's going to give you about 20-80. I don't think you're going to get 30 out of 100 anymore. Defense is kind of sliding a bit. But I think definitely at the third base, I think definitely he's there. I got no problem putting Aaron on top 10. Great career he's had. Max Muncy. Power. Doesn't hit for much average quite yet. That's probably why he's not higher. Big, strong guy. I think I think another he's probably playing at third base, but fits right in on the Dodgers. I don't love him defensively, but he's not a complete train wreck or anything. But definitely he can hit for power. That's definitely definition. You can pencil him in Spurtley in that, and I think the best lineup in all of baseball for 30-plus home runs, 100 RBIs. I definitely think that's in the cards for Max Muncy. Not going to hit for a lot of average. Average has consistently been around 220, 230 I think he's capable of about 250, but I definitely a power bat at third base. Guy, again, could have been at number one going forward. Down in the lineup here, number 6, Austin Riley. Riley, I think, is one of the better players that's due for bounce back. I think a lot of the Braves are going to bounce back. You look at the year before and 2023, and he was clearly, I think you could argue, the best third baseman, one of in all of baseball. Really kind of scuffled with injuries, so he really needs to bounce back, but I definitely have him in the top 6. I'm not going to take him down any more than that. You see it on the screen, big power guy, definitely good defensive third baseman, can play multiple positions. So I like Austin Riley at number 6. Matt Chapman, definitely the numbers are still there. I think Matt Chapman, not dead yet here. Played with the Giants last year. Before that, you see that with the Blue Jays. Chapman, stats-wise last year, 27 home runs, 78 RBIs. Definitely had so many good years in Oakland, which is now Sacramento. I think Chapman, definitely deserves being in the top 10. There is a little bit where you feel like he should be doing more. I kind of always felt like he has the ability to be in the elite category. That still may happen, but I think Chapman, I think it's a little low. I'd like to see a little bit more. I don't want to be too critical because he's number 5. This is a good player, but I always felt like Matt Chapman could have been like in the elite category, one of the better players in all of baseball, as well. When I saw, where is he going to play? Alex Bregman. He's 4 no matter where he goes. I don't know what's going on in Houston. They seem to be getting rid of guys. They got rid of Kyle Tucker. They got rid of Ryan Presley. So they haven't signed Bregman either. So I think they might be shedding some salaries there as well, maybe going through a little soft rebuild. But Bregman, whoever signs him, I think is going to get an outstanding, one of the top third basemen in all of baseball. Definitely a guy who's going to hit 30 home runs for you in the category, 30 home runs, 100 RBIs. Good hitter. Little bit of an age risk now at this point for Bregman. He hit 260, so he slid down a little bit. I think that is what's giving Astros pause. But I think at third base, you're getting a steal here if you're getting Bregman, as the sign with you. But he's 30 now. A little bit of a pause. We talk about too much money. I think that's what's kind of holding up. Here's I think these are the guys. If you want to call one of these guys number 1, I got no problem with it. Devers, I think, is one of my favorite players in all of baseball. I think he's very underrated, and I know why. Saber nerds don't like his average. He's not a tremendous average hitter. He hit like 272 last year, 28 home runs, 83 RBIs. He can hit for power. He can hit to all fields. I think he's still improving as a hitter too. I think as well, good at third base. I think Devers, is one of the better hitters on that Red Sox team. I think he's he's probably their best player, I would say. Look, they lost Bogarts. They lost a lot of those guys. He's been the backbone, the leader of that team. Devers, I think, is fantastic as well. The numbers aren't quite the super elite numbers yet, but I definitely think Devers is really, really good. Oh, Manny Machado. Manny, I think slipped a little, I think, for his standards, but I think he was fantastic. The only criticism, he's got a little bit of the Juan Soto in him. I like to see it from start to finish with Manny. That's the only thing. But the numbers were fantastic. Over 30, almost 30 home runs, 100 RBI guy. Manny, I think, is one of the better hitters in all of baseball. When he's on, had some injury issues. I think he's really good at third base. Great power bat, doesn't need a lot of protection. His swing is just so awesome. I mean, you say that about a baseball player, obviously they're swinging the bat, but the bat gets through the zone so fast, just a natural with Manny as well. I think now, too, with some of the moves they made, they're going to need him more than ever. He's one of the best players on that team. So definitely outstanding. Best catcher, best third baseman in the National League, but number 1 anywhere is Jose Ramirez. I think I do think that they have an elite team. With the I do think they have an elite team with the Guardians. I do. I do like their bullpen. I like a lot of the things they've done, and I do like, uh, the what Jose Ramirez has done. I think he's definitely their best offensive player, the guy with the most thunder. He's done it too without a lot of protection around him. It's not like they have the Yankees or the Dodgers or all those other players. He gets pitched around a lot, and he's definitely been incredibly productive. I think he's had 100 RBIs. Like how many times? Like as well. He had 39 home runs last year. 40 steals. So that's good stuff from Jose Ramirez. I think this guy is best third baseman in all of baseball. Number one, Jose Ramirez. There you go. All right. So we're doing our top 10 list. And let's go to our Orioles discussion here as well this week. If it isn't love, why do we play? New additions. Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike on the screen there. If once you see Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike, you know we're talking about the new additions. So not additions, but we're using the word addition. Shout out to the guys. Additions, definitely one of the greatest singing groups of all time. And so what we're going to do is talk about who are new to the Baltimore Orioles in this year. So who are guys? These are guys that are free agents, guys we haven't seen, guys that haven't really played yet in an Orioles uniform. So there's some guys who may be rookies, but we've seen them last year. But these are guys who haven't played yet. So these are the guys the Orioles have added to the team as well. Brandon Corbin. That's right. Corbin Burns signs with the Diamondbacks as well. Big contract with Arizona, so no longer the Orioles ace now. Now with the Diamondbacks. Talk of Zach Gallen trade. I don't buy that. I think because he's there and I'm not buying it. I think they're crazy if they do that. They should load up. That's a whole different discussion. Anthony Santander signs with the Blue Jays. I think it's a good move for him. I think there's talk of he doesn't play as well in Sky Dome historically. I mean Rogers Center, but I think he's such a power hitter. He's going to hit no matter where he is, even if he hits more on the road and at home. I'm not worried about Anthony Santander. Good pickup for the Blue Jays. Other guys have not signed yet, as I don't think they have. Danny Colombe, Jacob Webb, John Means, and Brian and James McCann. Brian McCann, that's the brother of James McCann. Colombe, I think, hasn't signed. Colombe, I don't think has signed with anyone. He's definitely not coming back to the Orioles. Same with Webb. I don't know if he's signed on their team. I have to look that up, but I don't think he's on their team. John Means is still out there. I think they're going to pretty much wait. Spring training is going to start here pretty soon. I think they're going to wait all the way up to that. If he re-signs and if he's able to pitch with the injuries he's had, I think the Orioles might bring him back from an invitation. And McCann won't sign back with the additions the Orioles have made. Is it an upgrade? I don't know, but we will definitely talk about that. Here's some rookies we may see. Dylan Beavers. I think he's really being slept on. When I hear about the Orioles prospects, I hear you talk about Basayo, they talk about Kobe Mayo, they talk about Brantfield. Start talking about Dylan Beavers. I think Dylan Beavers definitely is in that leadoff category. Legs player, lots of speed, going to steal a lot of bases. I think for somebody, I think he's definitely a future leadoff hitter. One of the better players, I think, coming up in the Orioles system. I have him at 3 as well. I definitely think we could see him in 2025 rather, on the field. Not right away, but definitely after the All-Star break. He's going to play well in the minors, for sure. So definitely he's a guy, and I think they'd rather bring him up. He's been in the minors long, already played with the Bay Sox, played with Norfolk, etc. They're going to be interesting as well. Thought we see him last year, but he hasn't really hit the field yet. Chase McDermott, I think some point Chase McDermott's going to have an Orioles uniform on this year. I'm thinking now maybe it's a career as a reliever. The Orioles have signed they've signed starters. I don't think there's room for a starter rookie on this team at this point. Never know if there's an injury or something like that. I can see it, but I definitely think at some point we'll see Chase McDermott. Is he a major league pitcher? I'm not sure. I think he's a decent minor league pitcher, but it'll be interesting to see. Not a lot of great pitching prospects for them. So definitely you'll see a shot at Chase McDermott. Some people, the moment we've all been waiting for. One of the best prospects in all of baseball, Sam Basallo. Pump the brakes on getting rid of Adley with this guy. Quite yet. He's good, but that's a little bit too more further than I'm willing to go. I've heard some people say he's untradeable and all that stuff. Definitely a top flight prospect. There's no question about it. Very good catcher, very good hitter. Bat speed is tremendous. Reminds me a lot of Manny Machado at the plate when I'm seeing him hit. Definitely a top flight. So he definitely deserves that. I don't know if we'll see him this year. I think more with him, cup of coffee. I don't know if we'll see him for anything past that September late, kind of similar to what we saw last year with Kobe Mayo, but outstanding prospect going forward. He's not probably going to be the catcher because Gary Sanchez is here. Gary Sanchez for years had the reputation of all offense, no defense. I think he's actually improved defensively over the years. He has worked at it. So Sanchez, I think he's a very good offense. He's going to give you probably more than James McCann would give you. I'm thinking that. I guess that's what they were looking for. They're looking for offense over defense. I think that's why you make a move like this on the nights where you don't have Adley in the lineup or whatever. This also maybe tells me that you're going to have less maybe of Adley at DH this year. You're going to have more of Gary Sanchez behind the plate. I think Adley needs to rest more. So I think that's why you get a Gary Sanchez. I need a little bit more offense in the lineup without Adley on the nights where for sure I'm not going to have Adley because he may not be DHing as well. I can't just stick James McCann in. Daz Cameron is absolutely going to compete for the fourth outfield spot. Last year you see him with Oakland, not Sacramento. I don't know how much he makes this team. I definitely think with all the outfield depth, I kind of see him. They're going to bring him in camp. He might crack the open day roster or something like that. But I think he's going to bounce back and forth between Norfolk as well. Tyler O'Neill is the big free agent addition for the Orioles. 3-year deal. He can opt out, I think, after the first year. This is the replacement for Anthony Santander. A little surprised that they went this route as well, that they went ahead and signed a vet with all the outfield depth they have. This is an A player as long as he's healthy. The average is going to be really good. I think he's actually fit for Camden Yards. They're going to be moving the fences back. He's going to play left field, which is, I think, better than anything I think it's an upgrade of what they had in left field. From what I understand, he's going to be in left. Cowser is going to be in right. I think defensively, this is going to be a good outfield. I think this guy is outstanding. Can he stay healthy? He has an injury history. Great last year in Boston, but that's the only concern I have with Tyler O'Neill. Amaya, this graphic has changed because of the guys they brought on, release. He's the latest one. I think he's just a body here, Jacob Amaya. I think you never know. Somebody who could, if Mateo or Urias can't go, something like that, that's kind of what you're going to see from that. I don't think he makes the roster, but I think he definitely, you bring him in, he's got a shot. This is very underrated. Andrew Kittredge, outstanding curve. It's nasty. I really love it. Good assortment of pitches. Pitched in the great Rays bullpen, I think was an outstanding pitcher for them. I like him. I like this acquisition. I think he can actually sneak into the 8th inning role. I think he's that good. I do think 1-year deal, $10 million. I think this absolutely helps your bullpen. I definitely think they want to upgrade in the bullpen. I think there's a lot of teams now with the starters not going a lot of innings anymore. They're looking for bullpen. You saw it a lot now. Tanner Scott getting a lot of money. Kittredge getting like $10 million. Hoffman getting a lot of money. The Dodgers signing so many closers. The value seems, the price of the brick seems to be going up for a lot of these relievers. So that's interesting there as well. Sugano. I don't want to mess up his first name. He's in both categories of the rookie because he's never played in the majors from Japan, and also from Japan. So he also has that rookie status. Look, Adam Jones really raves about this guy. A lot of these guys, the last one we had was Wei and Chin. That worked out pretty good as well. Like to have the guy, I think probably the only reason why he wasn't regarded as well because of his age. He's like 35 now, so maybe he's on the downside, but outstanding fourth or fifth starter. Absolutely no problem with this guy, fourth or fifth starter. I think, though, I don't think he's a stud in terms of, but he could give you I can absolutely see him having a good 2-3 years in the majors here at the end, and giving the Orioles some innings. I think the Orioles rotation is set. I don't think they do anything else. I think you're going to see Grayson, Eflin, Sugano, Morton, Kramer. That's it. Brash is going to bump somebody when he actually gets back healthy. I don't think they do anything else with the rotation. Barring something extraordinary happening or some extraordinary bargain or something like that gets on the man. And here's the last one, Charlie Morton. I'm being in my 40s myself. It's always good to see a guy in his 40s still playing baseball. Morton is, I'm trying to think of a name, the modern day Rick Russell. I don't want to go, I try not to date it too much, but he's still rolling. Middle tier starter, innings eater. Going to get you some innings. Maybe he gets you 15, 16 wins. Maybe he gets you 16 wins. If short of getting a guy for a large deal, the Freeds and the Burns and all the other guy, you're going to get a guy with Charlie Morton. Going to give you innings. Definitely still had a good year last year. I'd have no problem with a Charlie Morton. Not exciting, not sexy, but definitely a guy who's going to give you a lot of innings. And I think their rotation is done. I don't think they bring anybody else at this point. There you go. All right. So definitely check us out, like and subscribe to all of our social media content as well. This is obviously had a rough day. Personally, yesterday I had I don't want to say it on camera as far as everything, but I would say pray for our United States military members. I had a guy have a situation that was who was in the military. And so just make sure that you have our military, our soldiers, and these young men that are out here fighting for us, make sure that you let them know that you appreciate everything you've done for them. So thank you very much for joining us here on the Raver Sports Podcast. We will see you next week. Have a great day.